Hey, I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. Give this video a like.
Podcast below in the description. Subscribe to that as well.
And check out deck.com/ham. Deck makes organizing, accessing, protecting, and securing everything you need so much easier. Look at this, John.
Deck.com/ham for our grinders out there and our tailgaters. Can make tailgating easy. Deck.com/ham. Free shipping. Check it out.
Kyle Shanahan was on Tim Kawakami's podcast, the TK Show. And they talked about a bunch of stuff, including Kyle's big press conference the Monday before the draft, which I went back and I peeked at some of that thing today. But some of the stuff that we said, not some of the press conference.
And remember, he was a late addition. It's only mandated the GM, and then all of a sudden it was announced, I think, early that morning, Kyle will join John. And people were like, this is a little weird.
And then Kyle got on,
and then it kind of turned into the Kyle. Then it turned into the Kyle show.
Yes,
bit.
It was Kyle's telling everybody he's drafting Mac Jones. I can't believe he's telling everybody. So yeah. Tim talked to him about that, but that's not what we're going to play. What we're going to play is a question Kawakami asked him about arm strength, and more so than arm strength, making NFL throws. And I thought what was interesting here, John, was what Kyle said about the biggest difference between Trey Lance and the other quarterbacks. Obviously, we're always talking about Jimmy when we talk about comparing Trey to somebody else. So let's take a listen to what you'll hear some of the questions, then you hear Kyle. Take a listen.
Was some of it also, wanting to push the ball downfield? I mean, it's been well chronicled that they haven't done a lot of that with Garoppolo. Get the ball outside the numbers, maybe threaten the defense on the edges a little more than you have. Was that part of thinking, like, you want a quarterback who has the skills that you really can be able to move the ball downfield like that?
I do believe Jimmy has those skills from a throwing standpoint. I think Jimmy can make every throw. But I think, the obvious difference is when you have a quarterback who is a run threat, and that's not against Jimmy, that's against all the quarterbacks that we have. And, there's some guys who can scramble and stuff, but there's also some guys that you can actually put design runs for. And when you can do that, or you have the threat of it, which anytime you're pretty much in shotgun or anytime you're in a pistol formation, the defense has to account for them. And when you don't have that, it's 11 on 10 football. And what I kind of like about the thought of having a quarterback who can attack that way is it changes the defenses you're going against. And sometimes it can make it a lot easier on, the O-line, the receivers, just some of the looks that you get, because sometimes there's two guys in the middle of the field, sometimes there's one. But when you got to account for the quarterback, you got to use that guy. There's never an extra guy, and that actually helps a lot more looks down the field.
Some of it also.
Okay, so there was Kyle. I think one thing too, earlier Kyle had complimented Trey Lance for how he stays in the pocket. So when we talk about athleticism with Trey and Kyle Shanahan, of course we should know this, John. The stuff that excites Kyle more is the stuff he gets to draw up for Trey than the stuff that Trey just does on his own, even though he likes that. But what did you think that he identified? He said the throws, the offense I can call in terms of throws is the same with Jimmy. It's the leg stuff that's different.
Well, if you remember when he described not the press conference that got out of hand, and I didn't even think it got out of hand, that the media just thought that it was Mac Jones, and I think we both kind of disagreed with them. But the original press conference, when he was just talking about the trade and what you look for, is that ideally you'd want Drew Brees mixed with Lamar Jackson, right? And I was thinking about like one of the golf accounts, probably of my 1,000 people I follow on Instagram, maybe
golf balling.
Yeah, 45 of them, maybe 15% of them are golf related. It was the Tiger Woods winning, 12 years ago or 13 years ago at Torrey Pines with a blown out knee. And I was talking to a couple people that were like, I thought he was overblowing it. But then, the news came out later that week. I was like, whoa, he was really, because I think most people are like, God, is he kind of playing this up?
Right.
And I'll never forget texting one time with Hunter Mahan over Corona about Tiger. And he said the best thing about Tiger is that he was the best at absolutely everything. Like every element of the sport, driving, hitting cuts, hitting fades, chipping, irons, long irons, short irons, putting. He did everything better than everyone. And I was thinking about it actually today, driving home from my mom's house, that Tom Brady is not the best at everything, right? He's not even close to the best athlete. Like, and he's arguably the best quarterback. I mean, he's the best quarterback ever, his resume, but he's by no means the most agile or athletic, right? Listen to Steve Young book. It was like the guys in the history of the league that do Lamar Jackson, even Josh Allen's and Mahomes are much more mobile than him. So he's not like the perfect player. But ultimately, that's why we wanted Trey Lance or Justin Fields, anyone, like the whole country did for Kyle, because it's like, why would you pigeonhole yourself with someone that you know right away? Like, you can get by with being a pocket quarterback, and is always going to be mandated for success, right? Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. But part of like what makes Aaron Rodgers, who I think of his era, the last 2 decades, it'll be like Peyton, Tom, and Aaron. Well, one thing that Aaron had that those guys didn't, and really I think you would, Peyton, was basically Drew Brees on steroids, right? Just pinpoint accuracy, but he didn't have a great arm. And like Tom, he couldn't move. Aaron's ability, like some of Aaron's greatest moments as a player were fucking kind of backyard football, right? And then when he would make the throw, it would be the accuracy of Peyton or Tom. And it was like an unstoppable play. And that's why I think Mahomes has a chance to be like the Aaron Rodgers, I wouldn't say on steroids, but like maybe on creatine, right? Like the better version of Aaron almost, which is just, we've seen it's an unstoppable player. And that's why ultimately with Trey Lance, I think Kyle's realizing right away, and this is why I think he wanted Trey Lance the whole time, because go back to that Lamar Jackson comment. Obviously, Trey Lance probably is not going to be – he's not Lamar Jackson. Like, he's a 4.5 guy. Lamar, I don't know, is like a 4.2 guy. And I do think Lamar's a little more agile. Like, Lamar's agility and
he's
as we call it in the business, COD, change of direction.
I always thought
you remember
COD
Michael Vick
used to be in East Bay. It'd be like the East Bay catalog. It'd be like COD. And I was like, well, I don't know what that meant. Like credit on demand, or it meant something else in shipping. Payments.
Oh yeah.
Right? It was always,
yeah.
I was always like, what? It was always like an East Bay catalog. I was like, what the hell is COD? I don't know.
It's like the extra payment they throw on DoorDash now. But ultimately, my point is like Mahomes. Let's even look at Josh Allen. Really, what makes Josh Allen so awesome, at least this last year, and I think what the Bills hope he's just going to be moving forward. We already knew he had a big arm. Then he kind of got accurate. But what he really brought to the table was like this Cam Newton athleticism. It's like you can run quarterback power with him. He can keep plays alive, rolling to his right, rolling to his left. It becomes ultimately like a large, maybe not a large percentage, but a percentage of your plays. Let's say you call 60 plays. And, for Kyle, I was going to say 35 of them are passes, right? So it's like 35, 25, maybe even like 32. Like in Kyle's perfect world, it's probably like 30, 30. At least 10 of those, the play is not going to work or something's going to happen. Maybe one of your players falls. Maybe they call the perfect defense. You know what the knock on a Cousins is? Or the guys, Matt Ryan, like the guys that were always associated with Kyle, and I think Matt's the best version, then the Cousins and the Schaubs, they cannot make plays off script. If it's on script, most of Cousins' touchdowns are happening like good play call, sweet Justin Jefferson or Thielen, awesome pass by Cousins. But it's like they ran it in practice, works in the game. It's not like him jumping up over a defensive lineman, 360, fucking bullet across the middle. Whoo! Like, that's what – I don't know if Trey Lance is going to do that one day, but he definitely has the physical attributes to do that.
Yeah. And
I think Kyle's probably got to be thinking, like, this guy can bail us out. Where Jimmy actually has a little bailout, but nothing like the potential of this guy's bailout. You need bailout, guy. You need bailout.
No doubt. But when I hear him talk there, what he's saying to me is, because you and I have talked about this a lot as it relates to Deebo Samuel as an example for the offense. Ideally, Deebo has as many catches or more, plays healthy, has more catches, and some of those are just down the field, over the top throws, not so much Deebo Samuel having to run through traffic to get 9 yards where he's taking hits. And some of what Kyle is kind of saying there is, yeah, I mean, we can throw down the field, but I can kind of do some of that stuff already. But it's that maybe when I do that quick pass to Deebo or Deebo on an end around, he takes less hits because the linebacker who would otherwise just chase Deebo to the edge has to wait to make sure that the quarterback, Trey Lance, isn't keeping it. Because if he does, he's going to go for 15 yards up the gut. Like, I think that's what he's thinking about here, I think, in part, is like just the added level of play calling that he gets to have, the added level of chess that he gets to have. And he said it. It makes life easier for the offensive line and for the receivers. Like, I think that's part of what he's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you just put Mahomes in his own category, if you can just find some combination, and obviously this is an elite player, but I mean, ultimately when you trade this many players, of Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, right? I think he's more mobile than Josh
I feel
Allen.
like every kid coming into the draft or like filling out his bio in college. Like, what's your game like?
But that's what they're hoping for,
Yeah.
Right?
I handle it like Kyrie,
Mac,
but I shoot it like, pick
well,
the shooter.
it's why people hated
Steph.
Mac Jones. Like, who's Mac Jones comp? Hey, he's like Kirk Cousins. And the
Tom
pushback
Brady.
and I think Kyle's pushback even always is like, you guys are acting like Kirk Cousins stinks.
Yeah.
Like he's like one of the best players on a team that goes to the playoffs like 3 of the last 4 years. But that's not the way we think about it. Because if you say that, you're like, oh, what? Whoa,
Yeah.
what?
That's why I appreciate.
Because honestly, if I told you, and we talked about this on our last pod, I think in the mailbag, if I said that Trey Lance just becomes Cam Newton, that's really good. But I think most people are like, he can't be better than that, right?
Yeah, because you're like, I want a little more consistency in the throw game.
Do you agree with that? If I
Yes.
said that's his comp, Cam
Yes.
Newton, people are like, it's cool.
Well, how many years has Cam been in the league? He's on another team.
Yeah, but he was on his team for a decade.
I know, but
Multiple contracts, Super Bowl. Right now,
but they were not consistently
MVP,
true Super
Pro
Bowl
Bowls?
contenders.
No.
So, I agree.
With
I
a great,
think you would
with
want
a great
more.
defense.
I think you would want more.